everybody. This is Joshua Picklesimer, sports editor of the Bell Ringer, with another edition of the Sports Squad from the Bell Ringer Phoenix Media. Today on the Sports Squad, we have our special guests, AU women's head basketball coach Celeste Stewart and guard Autumn Phillips. The panel includes Rachel Carman, Patrick Motes, and Justin Gray. In addition to AU women's basketball, we will also be talking about the men's basketball team's win over Claflin on Tuesday night, the volleyball team's first-round regional matchup with Tusculum, and the big SEC championship game between Alabama and Georgia. Coach and Autumn, welcome to our podcast.
Thank you.
No problem. So, Coach, we'll get it started with you. Your team right now started off 4-0 and to start the season, and that includes a win over nationally ranked Wingate. Big win. So, how special has the first few weeks been for you and your team? And then talk about that big win that you had over Wingate.
Yeah, honestly, I think we've just been taking it one game at a time. We've been on the road, obviously, for the last 4 games, so it's nice to be back at home and be able to play at home. But, we've been in our battles with Wingate the last couple years. It's been very close to 1 to 2 possession games. And, I think our team came out ready to go and played with a chip on their shoulders. And I think that really played a part in us being able to pull out the win.
Talk about some of your individual players on that team, on your team right now, and how they played in that game.
Yeah, Autumn Phillips. Obviously she did a really good job of shooting it from the perimeter, played poise, valued the ball, was able to get some steals early. I think we just did a good job of playing within what we do and didn't get outside of that even when the game was close. Tamaya Alford also did a really good job of playing in the passing lanes, rebounding, getting to the basket, being aggressive, getting to the free throw line. Monet Florence hit a couple threes, and I think she doesn't really get a lot of credit, but I think she's like the glue for our team. She does a lot of different things. She does a really good job of passing the ball inside. Obviously, a lot of the time she's guarding the best defender, the best offensive player on the other team. So she does a lot of different things. And then Kaylin Searles, she's a newcomer, and she's playing at the point position. So she does a good job of facilitating and getting her teammates involved. And Kennedy Manning, she's our 5th-year senior. So she's been with me through and through, from the very beginning. So just her presence on the floor, she draws a lot of attention. So just being able to see our players continue to build that chemistry in the last 4 games has been great.
Absolutely. Autumn, you've actually had a lot of big scoring nights, and that includes shooting very well from behind the 3-point line. So did you work extra hard in the preseason and the off season to improve your shot? And is that one of the things that you want to improve in your game, and that is that's something I can do to use in the game?
I've been a good shooter, but over the summer, I made that one of my focal points to work on, just shooting it from behind the arc and getting to the basket. Preseason, I'm always in the gym, so I'm always working on my game.
That's what I like to hear. You're always in the gym. So since you're always in the gym, I'm assuming that means you have some pretty big goals for yourself and the team this season. So talk about some of your personal goals for the season and then the team's goals that you have.
One of my personal goals is to make first team all conference. Team goals, of course, to win a PBC championship and go to the NCAA, see how far we can get.
So you're actually from Fairburn, Georgia, near Atlanta, on the airport side of town. So talk about how you got into basketball and where you grew up in your high school career.
When I was younger, my older brother, he was into basketball deeply, but he never got that far as he wanted to go. So he introduced it to me at a young age, and I just stick with it. And in high school, I went to Langston Hughes. We went to the Final Four one year. I was the point guard. I had a different type of role that I do now. So coming to college it's just different.
Now, do you think you playing on AAU teams really prepared you for a good start that you have to the season already?
Yeah, I played with a lot of talent in AAU on my team and playing against them. Yeah, I was hopping around on different teams just to get a different feel. So yeah.
Coach, can you talk about some of the other players? I know you've already touched on some, but who have been contributing very well so far?
Yeah, like I mentioned before, I know Kennedy Manning is obviously a focal point in the post for us. Monet Florence obviously is also an impact. Talking about Tamaya Alford, she's been shooting at a high percentage as well, and she was, her and Kennedy were all conference players last year, so they're pretty much picking off from where they left off from last season. And then also, like, I feel like, the production that we're having from our bench this year has been very vital. Naini Polk has stepped up and did some good things for us, playing in different positions and just finding a way to make things happen on the floor. And I'll say, this year we have more depth than we had last season, so I think that also plays a key factor in how we play and what we're able to do, and being able to switch up our defenses and all of that good stuff. So, but yeah.
How cool was it? Sorry, Justin. How cool was it for you to get Kennedy? Because I know it's like her 5th year. Like, how cool was that for you to get her back for her 5th year? Like, she didn't leave. It wasn't only 4. How was it cool to, like, you have all these young players coming in and you can have like a really good, really leader in Kennedy Manning coming back?
Yeah, very excited. We had that conversation and it was pretty much her just saying, "Coach, I'm coming back." I didn't even get a chance to really.
You didn't have to pitch it.
I didn't really have to pitch it,
Mm-hmm.
So, but I think that's a testament to the university itself, her wanting to have another opportunity to be a part of Augusta University. Also, like I said before, I came in the same time as she was a freshman, so we've been going through the trials and the building and the foundation and all these things up until this point together. So it's exciting to be able to have her back on the court again.
What do we know about Anderson and your upcoming game tonight?
Yeah, so Anderson right now, I believe, is 14th in the country. They've averaging over close to 90 points a game. Most of their opponents that they've played against, they've had either 20 or more points spread. So we know that they're going to shoot the ball. They shoot it really well from the perimeter. They do a good job of turning people over defensively. So we got to do a good job of taking care of the ball, playing at our tempo, at our pace. And then at the end of the day, our defense is our juice. So our defense creates our offense for us, so we got to make sure we defend. We have the goal of being able to hold teams under 55 points, and they average, I think, 86 points. Mm-hmm. So with that being said, we're going to have a lot of work to do tonight, but we're capable of doing it.
Absolutely. Autumn, what are some things you're looking to do tonight against Anderson? Other than shoot the ball very well.
Yeah. So that's why I wasn't even going to talk about that. Like, I'm focusing on defense and rebounding today because, like, we need to have that to win this game.
So in the I asked Coach about it, but how cool is it to have Kennedy Manning back and, like, you get the opportunity to play this last year with her? How cool is that?
It's really cool. Like, and I want to, like, get this championship this year for her because, like, she been through it all, and I want her to get, like, a ring for our last season. Absolutely.
What's your favorite part about being able to be like an Augusta Jaguar and being on this team?
It's just the family feel, like, with our team and just like Augusta Jags in general with all the different teams. It feels like a family.
Really? All right. Lastly, before we wrap up y'all's segment, I was telling y'all beforehand, but, my girlfriend, she goes to Anderson University, and she's been talking some major trash, talking about how they're going to beat y'all. So I need y'all to I know y'all are going to come out clutch for me. I just wanted to let y'all know that. But I'm really looking forward to y'all's game tonight. I wanted to thank you both for coming on this show, and good luck tonight and the rest of the season, obviously, because 4-0, I think we were talking about beforehand. I don't know the last time that's happened. Y'all started a season, y'all ranked 24. So, this is a really good start to the season. I'm excited. Hopefully everybody else is too. So appreciate y'all coming on the show.
We appreciate it. Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
You're listening to the Sports Squad from Bellringer, Phoenix Media, and Jag Radio. All right, so next up, I wanted to talk with Justin about the men's basketball team. They just won last night, 76-65, and that was their 1,000th win in program history. So, Justin, talk about that win over Claflin.
It was a big win. It was a very sloppy game from the Jaguars. They did not play their best game at all and were without Kirby for most of the game. He's been dealing with an illness, didn't practice much, so he didn't play much. He didn't even get the start. And the biggest factor was Maxim Madison again. He had 17 points and 15 rebounds, add on 2 blocks. He's just been the best player on the team. He's dominated everybody they've played on the boards, in the paint. He should definitely be in the running for the player of the week this week again. But VD added on 15 points and 7 rebounds. He's been a fearless, emotionless leader on the team. And the freshman Zaire Edwards had 14 points, and he went 4 of 8 from three-pointer. He really got the crowd into the game. There was a time where they were down 9-3 early, and he hit 2 big three-pointers and really got the offense going, and they rolled to a big win, an 11-point win. And they're going to play again this Sunday against Virginia Union at 1 o'clock. This is a big deal because they're giving away $1,000. You must be in attendance to win, but one lucky fan will get their name drawn out of the hat and win $1,000. So you want to come to this one to watch basketball, but you have a chance to win some money too. So that's all I've got.
Absolutely. Cool. Now let me ask you this. We're pretty closely affiliated with the team, but do we still get to put our names in the drawing for the $1,000? Because I saw Rachel perk up when she heard $1,000 was on the line.
I'll be there. So
as far as I know, everyone is eligible
welcome.
except the players.
Okay.
All right.
Put my name in there a couple times.
Patrick, it sounds like we need to go put our name in several times.
I mean, dude, it's Christmas time. Everybody's broke as a joke right now. Get you some money for some gifts.
I agree. All right, Rachel.
Yes.
Volleyball team, they're going up to Wingate. They're playing in the, is it the PVC?
It's the regionals.
It's a regional championship.
Yep.
Sorry, the PVC championship. Sorry, the regional championships happening up in Wingate. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, it's a big deal. It's very exciting. They're headed up, like you said, to Wingate for the Southeast Regionals. They're ranked number 2 in the region, and Wingate is number 1, which we saw coming. We were kind of hoping to host the championship, but Wingate ended up getting that in the selection show, which is fine. So we'll be heading up there this weekend. In the first rounds, the Jags will face number 7 Tusculum December 1st at 2:30. They haven't played against Tusculum yet in the season, but I think the odds are good, and their odds are in our favor. That's funny. Now, the Pioneers, the Tusculum Pioneers, are 22-6 overall, whereas the Jags are 27-4. And AU beat Tusculum. And hitting percentage overall, we have 871, while they have 786. So I think they're very well matched. Tusculum won their conference tournament in the SAC, which is the South Atlantic Conference, by beating Wingate in 4 sets. So if that tells you anything, this is a good team. It's going to be a good game to watch. I think AU has what it takes to beat them. They last faced the Pioneers in October of 2022 and swept them in 3 sets. And we have returning key players like Jasmine Wheeler, Madeline Eden, Allie Thies, Dariana Luna, who played against the team. And I think they have what it takes, again, if not they're better this season, to be able to beat them. So that'll be exciting to see. Now, taking a look at the rest of the bracket, number 1 Wingate and host of the championship will match up against number 8 Lenora Ryan at 7:30. Number 3 Lander is up against number 6 Emmanuel at 12. And then lastly, number 4 Anderson will play against number 5 USC Aiken at 5. Overall, I think there are going to be a lot of exciting games to watch, but I'm most looking forward to the Lander and Emmanuel's game after, of course, AU and Tusculum. But the winner of Lander and Emmanuel's game will likely face AU in the second round. I have no doubts that AU is going to beat Tusculum. I think we can all agree on that. That's exciting. But whoever wins between knock on wood, between Lander and Emmanuel will face AU in the second round. And I think Lander is going to be a good game. And Emmanuel is a great team. They have a great program. They're very strong in everything that they do, but I think it's going to go to 5 sets. But Lander will win. They last faced off in October, and Lander lost in 5 sets, but it was very close. And I think Lander has done a lot of work, made a lot of improvements over the season. So it's going to be a close game to watch, but that second round, hopefully against Lander and AU, will be very, very tense, because Lander's really the only team so far that they've faced that's given them any problems. They've won some, they've lost some to Lander, but it really just comes down to how they're feeling that day. It's going to be a neutral playing field. And I don't know, Dr. Bulla was saying earlier they think Wingate and the rest of everyone is going to be rooting for Lander because AU is objectively the better team, so they're going to want to see the underdogs come on top so they can face them. So it's going to be a very tense game. I'm hoping to get there and watch it, but hopefully next week we can come back with some good news that AU has swept them all. That's what we're hoping for, knock on wood. So it's exciting.
I'm actually really excited. Now, Rachel, you've got to cover this team like the whole semester. Who do you think is going to be who on this team needs to have just the best performance of a lifetime? Who do you think that they're going to rely on?
I'm really behind Madeline Eden right now. She won MVP in the conference tournament, so she's been really stepping out. She's much stronger. She was fantastic last season, but she's much stronger this season, and I think going into next season she'll be even better. So I think this is a really important game for her to be able to continue to provide for her team in blocking and everything. I think it's going to come down to a lot of people, but I think a lot of weight is on Madeline right now.
I like the sound of that.
Yeah.
Madeline Eden, friend of the show.
Yes,
so
we love her.
We love her here at
Yeah.
the Sports Squad. So I like to hear that.
Yeah.
All right, moving on to what Patrick has been waiting on.
Patiently
Waiting on. All right, we're going to move on to some college football. We're going to talk about the SEC championship. We'll talk about maybe the Big 12, talk about Big 10. We'll talk about some stuff. We'll talk about the college football playoffs, some scenarios. This is your soapbox.
This is it, man. This is it. So the college football season is wrapping up, but there's a lot that can go down this weekend. So as we know, I need to bash Auburn for like just a couple minutes here. Like,
go for it.
That was probably one of the funniest games I've ever watched. I mean, you had 4th and a mile, I think. Like they were like backed up so far. All you had to do was swat it. All you had to do was either tackle the guy or just something, anything but let him throw it to the corner of the end zone. Like, that was the most stupid thing I think I've ever seen on live television. Like, I could not believe it.
Yeah.
And then they try to go out there, and then the last, like, then he threw almost, like, I think he threw a pick six. Like, I don't even think they counted it.
He did throw a pick six.
He threw a pick six, yeah. They, like, dude, like, that was the most Auburn thing ever. Like, in the past 2 years, they could have beat him, and they've choked. One at Alabama, and then they had, like, if you had told me...
probably the past 3, because that Bryce Young year, they went to 4 OTs. So, past 3 years, Auburn's had a shot.
Yeah, and, like, they had that stadium rocking. I was like, there's no way Alabama's going to win this game. That place was electric. It was, I don't know, they just, oh, gosh, it just makes me so angry. But that is Auburn, classic Auburn.
It's the past.
I mean, they lost to New Mexico State the week before that. Like, well, you know, could you really see it coming though? Like, yeah, come on now. Like, whatever. Anyway,
it was also 10 years to the day of kick six, so that was kind of ironic.
I saw a thing from Nick Saban. He was like, man, there's been a lot of stuff that happens. You know, fortunately, you know, it kind of was just luck, but we've also been on the other end of the bad side of it too with kick six, because you guys love that story.
Yes.
So, you know, what comes around goes around. Anyway, so we got the SEC championship coming up. There's a lot on the line. A lot of the talk is, if Alabama wins, how do you manage to score a top 4? Because I think that...
So we'll talk about that afterward. I want you to give me a preview of this game.
Yeah,
and then we'll talk about the playoff scenario. Because I want to talk about this game. I want to talk about the Ohio State-Michigan game. And then I want to talk about placement of the college football playoff.
All right, cool. So this game coming up, I think the biggest X factor in this game will be how well Georgia's defense can contain Jalen Milroe. Jalen Milroe is an outstanding quarterback in the pocket, outside of the pocket. He can move. Kirby Smart was like, he's like Lamar Jackson, but bigger, faster, and just better. And so that's a pretty high praise. But I think that if the Georgia defense, on the outside matchups, one-on-one, I think they do have the leverage. Their cornerbacks and safeties have been playing really, really well this year. Their linebackers are outstanding. Their front line can be good, but the biggest problem, as we saw versus Georgia Tech, was that quarterback run, because Hayes King is no Jalen Milroe, and Hayes King was giving him problems. So I think if they can learn to contain him, I think that really will minimize that offense. I think people, because Dr. Bulla was saying, he's like, oh, they're going to kill him, and I just don't think they're going to kill him, because it's Alabama versus Georgia. Alabama knows what's on the line. Georgia knows what's on the line. It's like their 5th meeting, I swear. You know, they're always in it. In Atlanta, it's going to be electric. I think that,
Carson Beck, to statistics, Alabama has never lost to Georgia in the SEC championship.
I know.
So
it's crazy.
History is not on the Bulldogs' side.
It's really not. It's really not. I mean, you know, hopefully they'll have Ladd McConkey back. Brock Bowers hopefully will make an appearance. I think those guys are tough enough that they rested him versus Tech, and they're going to come out and do whatever they have to take. Ra Thomas was out. And their starting O-line, Tate Ratledge, was out as well, too. So they were definitely missing some key players. But I feel like, you know, the word resiliency, what they've been talking about all season long, is definitely something that describes this Dogs team. You know, they've had a lot of injuries this year. And but they had their whole roster against the Ole Miss team. And we saw how they looked against a very stout Ole Miss team. So, you know, we'll see how it plays out, but I do think Alabama's going to give them a really good run for their money. That defense is really good this year. So Carson Beck is going to have to play an outstanding game. Fortunately, Kendall Milton is starting to get back into stride. He had a monster game against Tech. He was probably the reason why they beat Tech. I mean, he was 2 touchdowns and like 160 rushing yards or something like that. It was a crazy game for him. So I'm really glad that he's coming back, and Dejon Edwards will run really well for them. So if we can get Bowers back, if they can get Ladd McConkey back, I do think that Georgia can win the game. I think it's going to be tough. I think it's going to be a lot of people are saying it's going to be a national championship game, which I think it absolutely has the potential to be, especially with the way that Jalen Milroe is playing now and that Alabama defense has been playing really consistent all season long.
Absolutely.
So I think Georgia will hopefully take the win. But, I am sweating the game a little bit because it's just Alabama. Nick Saban's going to have them ready. I know Kirby will have them ready. It's going to be a dogfight. So moving on to the Big Ten, we had Michigan versus Ohio State.
Yep.
I was watching some of that game. Man, Ohio State, you got to get it together.
Ryan Day has
3
played
losses in a row.
3 years in a row, and he's lost every single time.
I really thought that Ohio State was going to march in there and win. I'm sorry. Kyle McCord is about as mid as it gets.
Yes, he is.
He is so mid. I'm watching this guy, I'm like, what? I mean, Marvin Harrison Jr. is outstanding.
Top 5 player in the NFL draft this year, probably.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
He's the best receiver in the class.
Probably
He's one
top
of the
3.
best receiver prospects of all time. He's unbelievable.
Now, you saw him how they played against Georgia last year in the Peach Bowl before he got knocked out by Javon Bullard.
Y'all had to knock him out just so y'all could win that game,
Yeah,
really.
I mean, it was a fair hit. But that was a crazy hit. I watched that. I was like, oh, yeah, he's seeing stars. But no, I was really surprised that Ohio State did not win, especially without their head coach too. Props to them for winning with the assistant coach too, because I definitely think Michigan has a chip on their shoulder. Justin, you got anything to say about it?
I think Jim Harbaugh summed it up about Ryan Day. He was born on third base. He's never got to. He's 1-6 against top 10 teams. In the playoff, he's won 1 game against Clemson in 2020, and he's never beaten anybody.
Well, who's Jim Harbaugh beating him? They lost to TCU last year.
True.
They got walloped by Georgia the previous year in the Orange Bowl. So
yes,
they do have a much better team this year than they have had the past 2 years.
I agree.
I do think this Michigan team can absolutely find themselves in the national championship this year. If they don't, that might be a worse sell than what Ohio State did, because the only thing that you can give Ohio State was it was at Michigan, and you've got 110,000 fans screaming down upon you. But I was quite surprised seeing how bad they lost by. I was like, ooh, this is not good. But Kyle McCord, yeah, he's pretty mid.
Yeah, very mid.
Now, before I start giving y'all some playoff scenarios, I want to get some predictions on this Georgia-Alabama game. So,
okay.
Patrick, we'll start with you, because I feel like obviously we all know where you're going, where you're leaning. So we'll start with you.
I think Georgia wins, but I don't think they cover. I don't think they cover the spread. I think because what's the spread right now?
6. 6 right now.
I think it's decided by. I think they don't. I think Alabama covers the spread. I do, because I just think it's going to be one of those type of games. There's just so much around it.
So you're thinking it's going to be game-winning field goal, potentially.
I think it's going to be game-winning field goal, or it's going to be tried to be like a game-winning drive where they're down by 5. I think that's what it's going to be.
Okay. What about you, Justin?
This is no hate. I think that this happens every year, and I think Alabama's going to win the game, and I think the playoffs going to find a way to put 2 SEC teams in. I just think
it's money generating too. It's money generating.
I think they find each other again in the national championship. That's my prediction.
Okay.
Do you know how wild that would be though? Because that Alabama team at the beginning of the season looked pitiful.
Yep.
Jalen Milroe got benched.
Yeah.
They said I think that was some disciplinary things that Nick Saban set him. I don't think
to motivate him.
Yeah.
All right. In this game, I think I'm gonna push Alabama over. I'm gonna say Alabama's gonna win because, all the momentum in the world is on Alabama's side.
Absolutely.
After that throw, Jalen Milroe said, "Give him the Heisman."
Now he don't need no Heisman this year. Maybe next year, but not this year. I'm sorry. Bo Nix is schooling this man right now.
Well, Jaden Daniels is gonna win it, so whatever.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah, but whatever. All right, Rachel, I know that you're a big fan.
Yeah.
Maybe you can either really increase Alabama's lead here, or maybe you can tie it up.
I think I'm gonna go with Justin on this one. Everything he said, I think, is very valid, and I absolutely see your point. And I think you spoke great. That was good.
So Alabama.
Yes.
We got 3-1 odds on Alabama. All right. So now I want to give y'all some playoff. I want y'all to give me 4 teams in the playoff before we wrap up this show today. So let's say, as of right now, the standings are Georgia's 1, Michigan's 2, Washington's 3, and Florida State's 4. Those are the only 4 undefeated teams left. So that's why they're top 4. But let's say Alabama goes in there, beats Georgia. Oh no, you have Georgia with 1 loss. You have an SEC champion Alabama with 1 loss. Let's say I mean, what do you do there? Do they both make it? Does one have to come out? Let's say Michigan stays undefeated, Washington stays undefeated.
Michigan is locked
Florida
for the playoffs.
State.
Michigan, we could just go ahead and give Michigan a lock. It doesn't matter where they go.
So Michigan's a lock.
They're a lock. They're going to crush. They're playing Iowa. We could go beat Iowa.
Yeah.
They suck. So, anyways,
I mean,
here's the thing:
10-2, 16th
we don't even
ranked
have
team.
to. Here's the thing about the SEC championship game. There's so much riding on it, but everybody's forgetting about the Pac-12. Everybody's forgetting about the Big 12. Okay, because if Texas wins, then how do you and Alabama wins? Then you get back. Well, Texas has got to get in too, right? But Alabama has had a harder schedule than Texas. Then what if Oregon wins? I think if Oregon wins, they should be in. Washington's played too many close games.
I think whoever wins the Pac-12 will definitely be in.
Whoever wins that will definitely be in. Yeah. I think out of all the teams currently right now, I think Florida State's the weakest link. And I think that they do have a very legitimate chance to lose to Louisville.
I think they're going to lose.
I mean, even if
Louisville,
they win.
Kentucky beat Louisville last week, right?
Oh, yeah. Kentucky beat Louisville. And the Governor's Cup, of course, the Wildcats came out on top.
I'm sorry. The Governor's Cup of Kentucky.
Yeah, exactly. All right, see, but this is what I want to see. I want to see Alabama win, so they're both with one loss. Mm-hmm. I want to see Oregon win, because then Washington and Oregon both have one loss. I want the college football playoff to have to sit down and really think about it.
I don't, because you know why? This college football playoff committee can't think.
This is the first time in years that it's not going to be like a clear 4 to 5. Like there's going to be
that's
like
a lot of risk
that could
if you
make
put
it.
the
And I would
4
love that.
best teams in college football, even if Georgia loses, you cannot leave them out. They are truly one of the best 4 teams in the playoff. Absolutely. That's putting all Georgia bias aside. They truly are one of the best. Carson Beck is is number 5 in the Heisman race right now, and everybody's not even paying attention to him.
Okay, so you're telling me, let's say a 1-loss Alabama SEC champion, a no-loss Michigan Big Ten champion, let's say a no-loss Washington Big 12 or a Pac-12 champion, and then let's say a Texas Big 12 champion, no loss, that 1 loss, right? Let's say they're all champions of their conferences, 1 loss or none, and then they got 1 loss. But
I don't think Texas gets in over Georgia, because I think that the committee is going to look at that win from Alabama and be like, that's a much harder team that they just beat than that Texas team, and nothing against Texas, but I think. If you look at the rankings right now, there's some head scratching that's going on. There's just no way that Florida State's top 4 team right now.
I agree. I think they're in an awkward spot because the team with their star, what was his name?
Jordan Travis.
Yeah, the starting quarterback. Obviously they're a top 4 team, but now it's they're undefeated, so you kind of got to give them their fair shot to be in it. But I mean, it's
it's hard to penalize the rest of the players that have played 13 games and haven't lost and in a Power 5 conference.
Well, I was watching some clip and I wish I could remember it. There was something where they were Reese Davis was actually going after the CFP commissioner, and he was like, how are you guys legitimizing this? This doesn't make any sense, basically, is what he was saying in a very professional manner. And I was like, he's right. I think that this college football playoff committee is not super with it this year. And I think that for the past couple of years, they've been used to very clear cut, either Georgia or Alabama or Clemson. So they've had easy locks into the playoff. And past couple of years, you've been able to see 3 weeks out from the end of the season who's going to the playoffs. And it's not like that this year, which I think makes it good for college football viewership. But I think the true 4 best teams in the college football right now, with no particular order, is Georgia, Michigan, Oregon, and Alabama. I do think Alabama's sneaky good. Now, we're going to get a better picture. If they go in there and beat Georgia, I think they have to be in. Mm-hmm. But I think 100%. You have to throw Georgia in there, too, because Georgia is still one of the best teams, even if they haven't been. People are comparing.
Are you going to penalize Georgia for going undefeated and then playing in an SEC championship? You can't penalize them for that. It was the same thing last year with TCU. You can't penalize them going undefeated and then losing to Kansas State, right?
Yeah.
So Georgia's. I would say that the 2 lock teams are Georgia and Michigan, in my mind. Those are the only locks at the moment.
I don't.
Do I like Georgia being a lock? No. Would I like the college football playoff committee to leave them out?
You want Kentucky
Absolutely.
to be a lock, and they're trash.
I mean, it was a little bit of a disappointing season, but I'm on the basketball season now. We had a big win against Miami last night, so I'm not even on football anymore. We almost lost our coach to Texas A&M.
Almost. But then they took Duke's coach, and that was...
Their fans rioted because they didn't want Mark Stoops.
I saw that. That was actually funny.
I'll keep it.
That was really funny.
I think the Final 4 teams are going to be Michigan at 1.
Michigan 1, okay.
I think Washington gets Oregon again because they're 9-point underdogs against a team they've already beaten. And I know it was at home, but only by 3 points. But they've got nothing to lose because nobody's looking at them anymore. It's all about Oregon now all of a sudden.
I think Oregon's going to win. They're going to go in there with some mantra. Dan Lanning's going to have them ready, and I think that Bo Nix is playing way better now than he did then. He was playing lights out then. Michael Penix has been playing great, but that Washington team's had one too many scares. I know Georgia hadn't been playing super awesome, but they only beat Arizona by 3. They barely beat Washington State by 3.
Yeah, I just think Washington gets them again. I don't know. I don't know why. I think it's Penix. I think he just has a factor. I think Washington gets the 2 seed, Georgia at 3, and Alabama at 4. That's my final prediction.
That would be interesting because then Georgia would play Washington and Alabama would play Michigan, and then that might be – you might actually be onto something there because in that way that they either have a Georgia-Alabama rematch or they have a Georgia-Michigan rematch, and I think that they're going to try and put it that way because I just don't think that if they leave Georgia out, I think that there's a serious problem. Not even because I'm a Georgia fan, because that there's – no. They are truly one of the best teams in college football right now.
Yeah, I just think Texas loses. I think Florida State loses, and obviously I said Oregon loses.
You think Texas loses?
Yeah, I think it all clears out. Like I said, it always works out. It always works out for Alabama and Georgia.
Who are they playing again?
They're playing Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State's 9-3, but they beat Oklahoma pretty good. And Texas hasn't
lost to Oklahoma.
Yeah, and Texas hasn't been too strong the last few weeks. I mean, they played well against Texas Tech, obviously, but I just think I don't think they have what it takes to get in so far.
Yeah, I think you're onto something with that too. But so what do you do if Florida State wins against Louisville?
I personally, sorry to cut you off there, but I don't think you can put Florida State in. Sorry, it's just I think the College Football Playoff Committee might do it just to make it a lot easier on them because they might. That's just what I'm thinking because I think this is so hard, and I think this is clearly a representation as to why we need an 8-team playoff
it's
now,
12-team next year,
or 12 now,
which will make it easier.
Which will make it'd make their job easier, but it's showing that why we need it. So yeah. I think my final 4 teams, I don't really know the order because I think Alabama would beat Georgia. And I'm assuming they don't want Georgia Alabama to play in the SEC championship and then have them play again in the 1-4 or the 2-3 matchup. So I'm a little confused at how they're gonna to rank them to try to not get them to play again because I know they probably want them to play in the championship again. But
yeah,
it is what it is. I think it's gonna be Georgia, Michigan, Washington, Alabama. I think those are probably gonna be the 4. Problem is, I don't know how you're going to leave Florida State out, but I think they probably will. Hopefully they do, because I don't think they should make it, but I would not be surprised if they left them in. I can't remember if I just contradicted myself, but
everybody's saying Georgia and whoever gets the number 4 seed will go play in the Sugar Bowl, and then the 2-3 will go to the Granddaddy and the Rose Bowl.
Yeah.
So we'll see. It'll be a good time this weekend. I'm excited for it.
Me too.
I think everybody is, and I think Rachel is too.
Rachel's going to be staring at that screen.
Yeah.
She's not going to know what
sleep.
to do.
Nope.
All right, well, that's going to wrap up today's show. Thank you for listening, and thank you to our special guests, Coach Celeste Stewart and player Autumn Phillips from the Jaguars women's basketball team for appearing on the show. We'll be back with another episode soon. The Sports Squad is a production of Bell Ringer Phoenix Media and Jag Radio. The producer today was Ethan Balducci, and Jasmine Garcia is the TVC Lab coordinator, and the videographer for today was Brionna Law. The opinions stated here are those of the individuals and not Augusta University. You can find us at aubellringer.com, on the Augusta Press website, on Spotify, and on social media. Please send your comments to bellringerproduction@gmail.com. Have a great day and listen again soon. This is Joshua Picklesimer saying so long. We're out.